Hello everybody, it's Julia here from the Highly Sensitive Tarot, and I'm back today with week 10 of my Drop 'em 78 Tarot Challenge. And we're starting today with the Hierophant. This is my card from last Sunday, and we'll be going up to yesterday. And then after that I'm going to do one more video, which will be right at the end, because I will have the Hanged Man through to the world to do. So that's 9 cards. I thought there's no point doing 2 videos, and besides which, that period will take me through Christmas and I'll be busy. So I think I've got one more video to upload after this one today, and then that will probably be it for me for a week or so. So once we've got to the end of the year, I'll come back and I'll finish this off and go through from the Hanged Man to the world, if that makes sense. So the card we're looking at today is the Hierophant. This is from last Sunday, the 15th of December. And the definition for the Hierophant for me is it's a kind of orthodox energy, isn't it? A conventional energy of tradition and religion and secrets, counselors, advisors, trusted people. It's about ritual ceremony. It can sometimes be a card of marriage, of higher learning, of institutions, both good and bad. We all have very different opinions about religion. I think that it's a difficult card, isn't it? To me, it's kind of outdated and a little bit rigid, really, in its interpretations. Often there's quite a bit of cognitive dissonance, I think, around this card, because it's trying to hold people fast to the learning that all these organisations want you to learn, really. And a lot of that is outdated and not really in our best interests, our higher good for a lot of us. It's in the interest of the organisation. And I think that's where I have trouble with this card, is I see it as a being about corrupt organisations, and that, you know, that really isn't the whole of this card, is it? Like I said, it can be about very good trusted advisors, counsellors, somebody that you'd go to for good advice, somebody that you trust. It's a card of Taurus, isn't it, and Venus. I'm trying to think what other words come to mind when I think about this card. If you pulled this, I mean, this card will have different interpretations and different readings. If you pulled this card in a relationship reading, for instance, this card, like I said, might talk about marriage. It might talk about questioning your beliefs about relationships and what a traditional relationship is. And it also, like I said, it talks about your relationship with religion, your own personal relationship with religion and spirituality. So it's kind of a complex card, isn't it? But a difficult card. I think it's one that many of us don't enjoy, really. And the detail in this card is I'm really not really sure what to make of this. I think when I read the book, this is supposed to be some sort of vulture, or... Thank you, George. Come on, lovey. Yes, come on. Come on. Thank you, yes. It's supposed to be some kind of vulture or a plant. I can't even remember, to be honest, what it is, but it's weird, isn't it? We've got all of these keys and crosses hanging on chains, but I think the thing that stuck out for me the most was this thing in the middle. I don't know whether it's a plant or the back of the head of a person, but it's got all these eyes in it, hasn't it? I don't really know what to make of that. It's like the all-seeing eye, isn't it? It's like, I think this is a person wearing a cloak of feathers, and that's like the back of their head with all these eyes. I can't really remember what I read, but I think that's what it is. And we've got all those keys and different crosses and things there that represent different religions. It's not a nice card. I find that quite I just don't like looking at that card, to be honest. It's called the Master of Keys. I'm really not sure what to make of it. In the Curious Travels deck here, we've got an owl representing the Hierophant, which is quite a traditional image, I suppose, of wisdom, isn't it? And kind of intellect. We've got the little, and again, we've got that thing here about the institution being bigger and grander than a person and their own beliefs, which is something that I don't like. Well, that's how it appears to me anyway, because these people are very small here and the owl is very large. And if the owl represents the institution, it's like this huge, all-powerful, all-seeing thing, isn't it? And I think, when we think about the Hierophant being a teacher or a sort of an advisor or a counselor or a trusted person that perhaps these people might go to, we have to always think about whether this person might be using that tradition or that institutional power to gain control or advantage over people, or whether it is genuinely sort of a genuine sort of beneficial advice for people. Do you know what I mean? I think that's always the thing that I get with this card, really, is if you went to a church leader or a religious leader, would they be giving you their best advice for your higher good? Or would they be using their institutional power to gain some kind of advantage over you, or control you, or influence you around to their way in some way? I don't know. Blimey, I've gone on for about 5 minutes about this card. As you can tell, it's a difficult card. And I think looking at this owl here again, these 3-tier crown there, I think that represents sort of like the conscious, the subconscious and the superconscious. So it's like in Freud's psychology, that's like the ego, the id, and the super ego, I think, if I've got that right. It's that kind of thing, isn't it? Yeah, and like this owl here is sharing his wisdom. But I think, like I said, this just always leaves me begging the question, who should you trust? I don't like this card. I think you can tell. And how I sort of reflected on this card for my day is that it just made me it made me think actually about my career as a mental health nurse and about my own spiritual beliefs. And it just made me hope that whoever I taught or I influenced in some way in my life through my career and my beliefs, that I did so through a sort of genuine excuse me, through a genuine desire to help and to share my knowledge and my experience and my wisdom, rather than to try and control or manipulate anybody. And still now, if you have a YouTube channel, you have the potential to influence people always. And we talk a lot about spirituality and our beliefs and our thoughts about things. And just to me, it's always very important to be authentic and to be coming from a place of love and positivity for people. So I think that was all really that this card made me reflect upon on that day. And I think, yeah, I was also thinking while I was looking at this card about how very different it is to reflect on a card every day from the majors rather than the minors, because the minors are obviously set up to look at our day-to-day lives, you know, the practicalities, our relationships, our careers, our money, just how we live our day-to-day lives, really. Whereas the majors are archetypes, aren't they? They're archetypal energies, and it's a much more difficult thing to just apply to your daily life, I think. I hope you know what I mean. I realise I've been talking for quite a while, really, just about one card. So, for Monday, the 16th of December, we are up to the Lovers. This is the alchemical heart. This is Mercury and Gemini energy. This is my description for this card is really it's partnerships, commitments, connections, merging of two energies, chemistry, heart chakra energy, the universal energy of love. This is a card that makes you think about your values, your responsibilities to each other. It can sometimes be a card of choices and decisions. What else does it make me think? Yeah, it's a heart chakra card, isn't it? It's a card of self-love also. I think, you know, we can always reflect on this card about ourselves, about self-love, as well as relationships. And the detail of this card, I just thought really that if the card was colour, wouldn't it be beautiful? These flamingos would be pink, the heart would be pink or red. And I just like how the flamingos are in the shape of a heart there. I think that's really pretty. That's quite a sweet card, really, isn't it, for the Lovers? That was about all I thought there, really. And for the Curious Travels, we've got these devoted elephants there with this sort of, I don't know, what looks like a really healthy communication between the two of them, that like they're looking after each other, like they've got a real meeting of minds there, that the communication between them is just effortless, that it just flows. That's how it feels to me. And it's interesting, isn't it, that we've got the flamingos with their heads pressed together, but also the elephants with their heads pressed together. So there is that real energy of communication between the two of them, that connection, which is beautiful. And how I related this to my day is, I went shopping at Lidl's. So there was nothing in my actual day that I had to reflect upon the energy of the Lovers card, really. But it made me feel that it's like an energy that I've just yearned for all my life, really, that real strong bond and connection. And I've had it at times in my life, but unfortunately lost it again. I've found it several times in my life, but unfortunately lost it again. And it is still an energy that I really do yearn for. And at the moment, I guess I'm focusing on acceptance of myself, my situation, and looking at self-love, looking after myself, and having that connection with myself, having a dialogue with myself. So there we go, that was Monday. And for Tuesday, the 17th of December, we've got the Chariot of Osiris here. We've got, so the definition of this card is, I think this is a card of overcoming oppression, actually. This is a card of movement, taking control, mastery of yourself, mastery of self-control. It's about growing up, isn't it, really? Being present, living in the moment, being determined, seeing your self-growth as something that's important, having focus and intent, and achieving your goals. And I've put, for the detail of this, that the horse there is beautiful, and it just made me think that horses are transformative. They always have been for me. They're such beautiful creatures, that have always been entwined with human lives in one way or another, you know, to do with movement, again, for our transport. And, you know, as I've said many times on my channel, I used to ride horses when I was a young girl, and I don't think I've ever experienced such freedom and exhilaration as I did when I used to ride horses. There's just such a beauty and magnificence about them. Yeah. The Curious Travels deck here is, we've got the horses again with a little chariot there. And I think the charioteer here, he's controlling these horses. He's got no reins, has he? And I think we've seen this in other cards as well. I think, what's the other deck? Oh, I can't think of the name of the deck, but there's another deck that immediately springs to mind where the charioteer is driving his horses just through his sheer force of will, really. There's no reins. And I think it's also about that sort of trust in the communication and the relationship with the horse, you know, the trust and intelligence of the horse itself that helps us to communicate with it, and the horse knows where we want to go. Excuse me. It's quite early on a Sunday again, and I haven't drunk enough or talked enough, I don't think, so I've got a froggy throat. So yeah, I love that we've got the horses in both of these and not just the chariots. And my thoughts about my day with this card on Tuesday were that, you know, despite a difficult last 6 months, that I can take control of my life, that I can overcome things, that I can master myself and my emotions. And, you know, I did really reflect upon something that's always a difficulty for me, a bit about being present and living in the moment. You know, when you're quite sensitive and you struggle with a lot of anxiety, you can often either be looking to the past or looking to the future. You know, it's not easy to be in the moment. So I did reflect on that energy quite a lot and realised that despite everything that's happened over the last few months, some things very positive, but some things quite negative, that I continue to grow. You know, I continue to grow as a person. So yeah, I think that's what I want to say about that. Like I said, it's much harder to apply these big archetypal energies to your day. Much harder than it was the minors. So for Wednesday, we've got the Justice card here. and I haven't sorted that out properly, have I? There we go. And the El Goliath deck is, for number 8, is justice, and in the Curious Travels deck it is strength. And for me, I see the number 8 card as strength. I don't see justice as a number 8. It's an 11, isn't it? Or a 2. You know, it's about balance, and I really don't see it as an 8, but I thought, as it's the El Goliath deck that I'm studying, I thought we'd best look at the Justice card from the Curious Travels as well. So this is the Doves of Equality, and the definition of the Justice card is, well, fairness, defending what's right, harmony, taking a stand, being self-aware, being lawful, weighing your options, being objective. It's an energy of balance and karma, isn't it? And it makes me think about sort of like the truth will set you free. So the detail of this card is, I just like that the doves are carrying olive branches as well as their scales, because it shows that they come from a place of peace. You know, this is not a weighing and measuring in order to control or manipulate. It's about finding peace in every situation, isn't it? About making decisions based on your higher good. The discovery with the Curious Travels deck, like I said, I don't see justice as number 8. I see it as number 11, which it is in this deck. And I think in the Curious Travels deck here, we see that she's walking on a tightrope, isn't she, holding her scales. She's got a sword above her head, which is about truth and making good decisions. And I think this tightrope here is just, to me, it's about showing that sort of precarious balance of life, that every tiny movement or decision that you make in life, there are consequences, aren't there? And I think it's really important to always bear that in mind, and that's where the self-awareness with this card comes into play, is, you know, being able to be aware enough to know that your behaviour affects other people. That's something that's a big thing to me, and has been a big thing to me quite recently, actually. I think the Justice card, I feel that energy very strongly at the moment, for one reason or another. So how this card sort of figured in my day, how I reflected on it, I put, well, I'm well aware of this energy. It's something I've always tried to make my decisions in life based on my higher good, or the higher good of whoever I'm talking to or dealing with. And I just think that much of life is, or much of what's wrong in life is that people just react to things and they don't consider both sides, and they don't take responsibility for their actions. And I think that that is much of what is wrong in life, really. Yeah. So yeah, that's Justice, which in this deck is number 8. So yeah, we need the Hermit now, don't we? And you're going to come a bit later, Strength, aren't you? That's it. So, for Thursday, we've got my most favourite Virgo card, the Hermit. And this is the Inner Master. And my definition of this card is, this is a card of solitude, retreat, contemplation, reflection, introspection. It's a card of being quiet, being at home, being a lone wolf sometimes, looking at the deeper meanings in life. It's about spiritual attainment, self-knowledge. It's your journey, isn't it? It's marching to the beat of your own drum. And I like the detail in this card here. I really just like that this armadillo is burrowing down into his little home here. And it's like it's a good animal to have chosen for this, because it's like his armour is protective of him, I think. It's curled all around him. And I think the stars all around him just sort of represent that this is a time for some serious introspection. In the Curious Travels deck here, this is a really cool card for the Hermit. I like this very much. I had to look in the book because I wasn't entirely sure what the star would represent there in his face, and it's the star or the seal of Solomon, which is covering his face there, and he's emerging from the darkness, isn't he, with his little lantern. And to me, this just shows a real trust and a real peace with himself, that he's able to walk in the darkness like that, kind of blind and not being able to see. There's just a trust in his own path and his own journey, and I really like that. So I reflected on my day, and I've written that it's actually been nearly a whole week of hermiting for me. I've been alone most of the week by choice, and I really needed it, actually. I find that while I need company and I need stimulation from other people, if I get too much of it, I really can't process and reflect on the things that I need to. And, you know, if you've followed me, you'll know that I've had quite a lot going on recently. And obviously, the more you have going on, the more you need time to reflect and process. So I've taken this week out, really, to be with myself and to be comfortable with myself in that isolation. And I've really, it's done me the world of good, to be honest. I've recorded a lot of videos. I've faffed around at home and done lots of little jobs that I wouldn't normally have found time to do. I love my home. I mean, I am a hermit at heart. Since I've moved here to be closer to my family and my friends, I do get out and about a bit more than I used to, but I'm definitely a hermit. And in times of trouble or stress, I will very quickly retreat back to that energy and kind of go into myself. And like I said, I've taken a week out to do that, and I'm now at the end of that week, with next week with Christmas and socialising and spending time with people. And I think it's done me good. I think I've really needed this alone time, so it's been a good thing. So for Friday, we're getting there now. So I realise this is a bit longer video than usual. I waffled such a lot about the Hierophant, didn't I? So this is the Wheel of Fortune. This is the Great Wheel. And my definition of this is luck, fate, opportunities, changes in circumstances, the laws of nature and karma, the laws of attraction, the flow of life. I think it represents reincarnation. It's almost like a mirror, isn't it? The Wheel of Fortune. It's like you've got to change yourself before the energies will follow, before that starts to manifest in your life. That's the way that I see it anyway. And the detail of this card, I quite like. It's a kind of shamanic image there, isn't it? The wheel is full of crystals and feathers and plants, maybe butterflies, and it's all sitting on a tree stump. And I think the circles and the rings on that tree stump just represent the cycles and the span of life, doesn't it? That life continues, life continues to evolve. And the rings change, don't they? Years where there's been less rain or more rain, or the environmental influences have been more favourable. You see that reflected in the rings of the tree. So I thought that was really interesting. And in the Curious Travels deck, it's full of symbolism here. We've got, what I thought was interesting in this is that we've got Anubis facing the Sphinx there, I think. And I think Anubis is the god of death, isn't he, in the Egyptian god of death. And so that there with the snake going around the wheel there, that just makes me think that the wheel is always turning, really, and life and death are a constant part of our lives. And I think that this really reminds us to appreciate those peaceful moments when they come, because our lives are in constant flux, aren't they? The wheel is always turning. And how I thought about this with my day, I didn't write very much. I just wrote, this week I've stepped off the wheel. I've stepped off the wheel briefly and I'm enjoying a peaceful moment. So there we go. So one more card. This is Saturday. This is yesterday. And this is now Strength, card number 11 in the El Goliath deck. The Lion and the Cobra, and obviously it's number 8 in the Curious Travels deck. But as I said, I wanted to put them together. So the definition for the Strength card is fortitude, courage, self-control, patience, being a rock, maintaining your own inner balance in times of trouble, being able to hold composure. It's about having boundaries, self-empowerment, yeah, those kind of things, really. And the detail in this card is that I think this King Cobra here, he's just standing firm, isn't he? Despite the lion being so much bigger than him, despite the lion roaring and showing his teeth, this snake, this cobra, is holding his composure. And I think that comes from that inner confidence, doesn't it? Of knowing his own strength, knowing that the lion might be bigger and fiercer than him, but the snake is quick. The snake is quick and powerful in his own way. And yeah, he's standing firm, isn't he? So the Strength card in the Curious Travels deck here, like I said, it's a number 8 for me. 8 is a strong, stable number for me. I think number 11, it goes to 2, doesn't it? And that's a card of sort of balance and choices, and it's not a strong number, I don't think. For me, a number 8 is a strong number. So if I was, going to have to go one way or another, I would definitely be choosing number 8 for strength and number 11 for justice. But anyway, in this beautiful card here, this woman here is laying in the paws of this beautiful big lion. And again, this is about trust, isn't it? It's about trust in her own ability and trusting in her relationship with this lion, about having confidence in her own abilities, having confidence in the self-control of the lion, and knowing that the lion has got this kind of gentle strength about him. And how I applied this to my day, well, I just put, after a very quiet sort of hermit energy type week, I've been doing pretty well with maintaining my own composure, my own inner balance. I've been standing firm over some things in my life, and I'm just sort of waiting, kind of patiently, to see what life brings now, trusting in the process of life at the moment. So there we go. My card for today is the Hanged Man, which I'm now going to sit and write out in my journal, and then a bit later on today reflect upon. But anyway, I'm sorry this video has taken a little bit longer, but obviously I've had a little bit more to say. So like I said, I will be back probably the 1st or 2nd, something like that, of January, with my last video, which will be 9 cards, the last 9 cards of the Major Arcana. And as I was looking through to see what cards land on what day, I thought it was really interesting that the Devil falls on Christmas Day and the Tower lands on Boxing Day. So I think that the Devil for Christmas Day is a very fitting energy, actually. But it'll be interesting to see how those energies sort of play out, won't it? So if I don't talk to you again before Christmas, have a lovely Christmas. I hope that you all have a very peaceful and happy time, whatever it is that you're doing. I hope the new year is full of blessings for you, and I shall speak to you all again soon.